G'day, gang. I wanted to talk today about actually pretty serious social topic that I've talked about before. I've touched on it before in my video about social avoidance, but I wanted to talk about today about how to help a lonely friend, or how to help lonely friends. I think I want to talk about more. Um, yeah, we're in a really sad state in a lot of instances. We have some of the best quality of living all throughout the entirety of human history, but it has come at a big cost for a lot of people. And that is about the ways in which that we are socially interacting, and in a lot of cases in how we are not. Oh my gosh, chair, please. I want to talk about how we can help each other, and we can try to spot loneliness in each other and try to give like a little bit of help to the people around us if it's possible at all. Yeah, a lot of people, they just don't want social interaction anymore, in that they don't want, they very much want to curate their own social interactions, and they want to be able to control the ways in which that they interact with others, which is completely understandable given that this is the first point in human history that we can actually try to control the way in which that we talk to others on a massive scale. It's a weird time to be alive. It really is. It's a wild experience right now. But yeah, I want to talk about how to help lonely friends, how to see that friends are lonely, and I want people's opinions on that as well. I really want to hear how you knew your friend was lonely, how you helped them. Any advice in the comments is particularly significant because this is a really, really important topic. And I think we see a lot of videos talking about the loneliness epidemic, talking about how we are just getting farther and farther from each other, and that there are a lot of people who are social isolating on long scale, or again trying to curate the specific set of parameters for which they interact with others. So more videos on the topic of how to interact with people, how to help lonely friends would be very helpful. So I think one of the first ways in which to work it out is to how to spot it. And I think for me, the first thing that the first way in which that I understand that someone is having like loneliness issues is I talk about my friends, and I like to talk about how long I've had those friends for, and if I find that there are people around me who have had very short relationships overall, like they don't really have long relationships, I can already see that that's a red flag that this person is probably quite lonely, because they're specifically trying to have their relationships be curated in a way that is very difficult to do, especially with long-term friends. And I think that you have to be more socially flexible. So if you see social inflexibility in people, it's often a sign that they are more removed from society. And I think that that's a really complicated thing for most people to determine. But yeah, one of the ways that I've noticed is to talk about how long you've been friends with people, and ask about your friend and how long they've been friends with other people. Yeah, definitely one of the biggest red flags. And I think one of the ways in which that I've tried to help lonely friends myself is to stay friends with them. I think that's a really big thing. Unless the relationship is too toxic, it's not worth it. But I think ultimately sticking friends with people for as long as possible, if you really care about them, is really valuable. I've had family members who I've had who clearly have issues keeping and maintaining long distance, long time friends, and I've been trying to like point out those issues, but I think the way that I was going about it was very unhelpful. So I'm very interested in the ways that people find that they could help people. But for me, staying friends with people, trying to gently point out these the little issues and the little inflexibilities and give these people agency in trying to change that is very helpful. But I think ultimately the biggest way that you can help any of your lonely friends is just to be patient with them. I think that's a really big thing, because if someone is trying to make their social network, to design their own social network, they're going to struggle when that social network becomes flexible and they're not. For example, like having issues in the way in which that they interact with people. So when someone says something that they're not comfortable with, and I think it's the most classic example because we have a rise in conflict avoidance as well, and conflict phobia. So when I think the biggest telling factor is the way in which that people talk about conflict and act in conflict. So I think if people are extreme in conflict and they're very, very angry in conflict, I think that's a very big red flag that this person has probably needs help in being more comfortable with conflict, but also being more comfortable with the people around them, because I think it's very easy to lash out and get particularly angry if you don't know that the people around you are going to stay. So that's another really big red flag that someone needs help in understanding that you're not going away. And if you really care about this person, trying to tell them that you're not going to leave and reassuring them in a heated moment is actually very helpful, even if you're met with aggression. That's been one of the factors in which that I was able to maintain a very, very complicated family relationship that I had for, I think, way longer than I should have reasonably been able to, was to, in the middle of a conflict, was to see that the other person was having issues and to identify it and apologize for it, and then try to help them see why. But the why comes after, I think. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work to help lonely friends. But if you really care about them, particularly if it's family, I think the effort is really important. And I think that we shouldn't be, we shouldn't leave them if you really care about them. You should, I think it's for me, the way that I justify effort is that I have like some sort of metric of a little bit of a scales in my head. So if I try to think of it like, if their discomfort is so heavily weighted against mine, I try to make myself a little bit uncomfortable to try and help them out, because maybe I can use some of my energy to help them. And you kind of, you do have to, as a person in any walk of life, is always work out how much energy you have to spare, how much capabilities you have to help someone, because overcommitment is the death of a friendship. It genuinely is. If you are finding that you are always helping a person or specific people, it's not a sustainable relationship. So you definitely do have to see the other person trying to come, at least take some steps towards you, which was my mistake in trying to maintain, some relationships of my past. I'm going to have to cut the video there. But tell me how you've moderated your relationships, how you've managed your relationships, and talk to me about how what you've done with your how you've been able to manage stuff. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys later.